Let's head out to the hotline and bring on a friend of the program, Tim Jenkins. You can check him out at jenkinselite.com. We happen to be a show, and I know you kind of subscribe to the same idea, that even in a loss, there are obviously things to learn. It's about process more so than results. And I mean, we could sit here and just, hem and haw about, man, you just got blown out 48-19. But that really isn't like
doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, it doesn't really make it for interesting sports talk. I think I want to know why. So I'll ask you from an offensive perspective, why did the Broncos lose this game?
From an offensive standpoint, I honestly thought they did some really good stuff, right? The fumble hurt really, really bad. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that, listen, I don't know if we stopped Buffalo on the first few possessions. And it's just tough when you're going up against a team that's, we're not talking about Buffalo who's middle of the pack, might make the playoffs. We're talking about Buffalo who's very well in the Super Bowl talk, and no one would be surprised if they beat Kansas City. So I think it's, important to, reframe these teams, and then also talk about the fact that when you're down Von Miller and you're down depth in the secondary, I mean, it's really, really hard to then, get after a guy like Josh Allen, who's developed to the point that a lot of people would put him, as an elite quarterback now.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't that several different questions here, but let's get the first one out of here. Isn't that a testament to the way that the process is supposed to shake out? Isn't Josh Allen the glaring example of having patience and continuity and working your quarterback and developing him into good?
Yep. My biggest issue with the whole Josh Allen thing, and especially because I'm more tied into Broncos country now than I ever have been, looking at Twitter, the people that are saying, hey, wow, Josh Allen's great, if they would have lived through a 10-touchdown, 12-pick year, would have ran him out of town. So the fact that they are looking at it now and saying, oh, yeah, Josh Allen knew he was going to be that. No, and they would have crucified him, his rookie year. He just, happened to stick to the process and then, developed into who he is. I think anyone who looks at Josh Allen's body of work through 16 games, and I'm not talking about statistically, right, just his body of work, and compared to Drew Lock and think Drew is, light years behind, I just think is being kind of intellectually dishonest. I just think they're lying. I think from a progression standpoint, Drew's doing a really good job. Now, does it frustrate fans when he has, 100 yards going into the third quarter? Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers had 180 yards against Carolina. But no one's running Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay.
No doubt about it. Okay, so in this game, because I got a lot of questions, and I'm sure you did as well, did Drew Lock take a step back, in your opinion?
You could make the argument of yes, right? Only because there were one or two situations that were kind of those egregious errors again that we had talked about he had kind of gotten rid of. With that being said, there was so much growth from the aspect of there were a couple times where you could tell he felt the defense sink and he got to a check down. The things that I think are worrisome, right, was the speed out to Judy early that really, in all honesty, should have been a pick six. And then there was a sack that he took that in all reality needed to be to the back, and it was something that he should have had an idea that it was coming just based on the protection they were in and the look the defense was giving him. But the 2-minute drive before half, I thought, was as good as it got. You saw him hit stick twice. You saw him hit his check down twice. You saw him hit a blaze 8, which is kind of like a modified post speed out, let's call it, because it's not really a post corner. You saw Judy run an incredible route. You saw him throw the ball under duress, and then you see him throw the corner to Fant when they're running a little bit of F option. So I thought that drive at the end of half was just incredible.
Drew struggled against cover two. He struggled against cover two teams. We talked about that last Monday. I asked you, how's he going to beat the cover two? We went out there. We saw him struggle against it again. What is it about struggling with the cover two? What's the most difficult aspect as a quarterback of dealing with the cover two?
Yeah, I think, cover two will bait you into some stuff, right? The whole shot that we saw him rip when in reality you probably could have gone to the stick right underneath. That's tough. I think we're seeing a reduced menu from Pat Shurmur from a play call perspective. And if part of the menu that was installed for cover two is, stuff that Drew's not very good at, you're really playing from behind the 8 ball. Whereas with a normal OTAs and normal training camp, I would be willing to bet that they would have, a ton more to go after.
Hey, Tim, it's really good to have you on. Thank you so much for the breakdown. And, Tim, you do a fantastic job as always. Thank you for the time.